Hi, and welcome to the Quilting Life podcast. I'm Chelsi from Chelsi Stratton Designs.
And I'm Sherri McConnell from A Quilting Life.
And we are excited to be here with you for podcast episode number 121. It is September 23rd, and we have some really fun quilts. But first, we're going to talk about our sponsor, Cozy Earth.
Yes, we love Cozy Earth. And once again, I just want to let you know that they still have the 40% off deal for our listeners and viewers. You can use the link in the description, and you can also use the code Quilting Life when you check out. And be sure to let them know that you came from the podcast so that they will continue to be our sponsor. We love the Cozy Earth products. We have been talking lately about the face cream and body cream that Chelsi and I both got. Those are fabulous products, but it's time to think about all things sheets and blankets, and they have a wide variety of different styles of blankets, so you can actually pick the best one for where you live, and they have some luxurious fall colors available in their sheets now.
Yeah.
And just gorgeous. It makes
really pretty colors.
Yes. It's been kind of crazy. I've been in and out of town, and temperatures are, sometimes 30 degrees different, so
this morning was 66 degrees, but then it's supposed to go back up to 100 by Friday.
Right. Yeah. So just want to remind you that we are so appreciative of Cozy Earth and do love their products, and invite you to check them out when you get a chance.
Yeah. Okay. So, Mom, do you want to share the quilt? It's making me really miss Laguna Sunrise and Strawberry Lemonade.
Yes. Super excited when I was thinking about the quilts for today. So on the wall, you might recognize it from the cover of American Patchwork and Quilting earlier this year, but I have the rights back and my pattern is ready. I'm super excited that the pattern that was in the magazine is now available as a PDF in my shop and also as a booklet. And this is great, especially for shops who maybe are doing some more kits now that Strawberry Lemonade is available and they need the pattern for their kits. And so we've got that available. Super excited how it turned out. It's actually a 12-page booklet. And as always, Natalie did a fabulous job. I've also finished my Laguna Sunrise version of this and have it hanging in my sewing room. I did a 9-block wall hanging.
Oh, yes, I saw it. Yeah.
So, yeah, really, really excited about that. And then on the table is Happy Go Lucky 2. And the reason I chose this one, we're going to talk a little bit about Garden of Quilts in a minute, but this was one of the classes that I taught there. And it was the last class on my final day. And we just had so much fun with this class and with this quilt. And I love seeing all of the different versions. There were Christmas versions. There were Halloween versions. One of the women was sewing with Vanessa Gertzen's Hey Boo.
Ooh,
and she was using Vanessa's panel to do the interior squares on the churn dash. So cute.
It was smart.
Oh, it was just a blast seeing all of the versions for this pattern. And I gave the ladies lots of ideas of different things they could do. Actually, some people were using our hexagon cheater print as the center for the churn dash or the star blocks. And also in my class sample that I did, I was using the Dresden cheater too. So
oh, really?
It was lots of fun to fussy cut those and see that class.
Yeah.
So those are the two quilts for today. And then we have something else really exciting on the table for both of us.
Yeah.
Our Family Favorites book is available now. You can get copies from Chelsi's Etsy shop and from my Etsy shop if you want a signed copy. And if they run, they'll just be there till they run out. We just have a limited number.
Yeah.
But when
they'll be signed by us.
Yes. So look for those. We'll have a link to both of our shops for that. And then when they run out, you can get it from Fat Quarter Shop.
Yeah.
So, but the book is just lovely. It arrived while I was gone, and I've just The photography is just dreamy.
So good, and it's bringing me back to our photo shoot. I'm actually going to have Billy pop up some behind-the-scenes pictures of our photo shoot that I have, just because it was a lot of fun, kind of bring back the memories. Fat Quarter Shop did a wonderful job with it. It's a great quality, wonderful quilts, and just all around a good book. I feel like we had a lot of fun with this one.
Super excited. And we are going to be doing a sew along with the Brightly sampler, one of Chelsi's designs from this book. That will actually start at the end of October when Laguna Sunrise has shipped.
They want to guarantee, if you have questions about that, they want to guarantee that everyone has the fabrics in hand instead of starting it early and not having fabrics available. Right. So that's why we're waiting till the end of October.
Right. And they actually just put up a blog post last week with some information. We'll also link to that in the description. And there are pre-orders for the kits now and the backing set, I believe, too. So you can, I think it's more of like a really small deposit, like $1.99 or something that they do. And then when the fabric is available, then you pay for the kit and they ship it. Yeah.
We just hope everyone enjoys sewing with Laguna Sunrise. It's very exciting that it's going to be shipping soon. Yeah. That's always such a fun moment for us to see the fabrics finally in the hands of quilters, and them using it is just one of my favorite parts of the design process.
I agree. I'm still trying to figure out what I'm going to sew with. I haven't decided between Raspberry Summer.
Yeah. I was going to ask you.
Maybe Christmas or maybe Scrappy. I don't know.
So this is really funny. I had thought Christmas, or Raspberry Summer. Uh-huh. I'm not sure yet. We'll have to talk about it.
Let me know what you're going to do and I'll do something different.
Yeah. We'll talk later. I can't decide, but I'm very excited.
Although in the past, I mean, if we both sewed with Raspberry Summer, it would still probably look different.
Yes.
We would choose different things. Yeah.
And I also had a thought. I thought about only doing the reds, whites, and blues from Raspberry Summer. So we could actually both do Raspberry Summer. Right. I really want to do that because I did a quilt pattern with the reds, white, and blues. My anthem, I have a second version of it, and it is super cool. I got it back from the quilter. It's going to be on the next podcast episode. It's amazing. It's really cool.
I can't wait to see it.
Okay. We have something really excited to share. We're wearing it. So that's why we have these really cute tees from our friends at Handmade is Heartmade. And they're shirts. They've been doing shirts for a little while now. Yeah. And they sent us some.
These are their kind of part of their fall release. Yeah. So the
browns and the plum.
Yeah.
And mom says Quilters University. And mine says
behind every quilter is a pile of fabric.
It's a pile of fabric. Truth bomb, you guys.
And they're so soft.
Yeah. I also like that. It's not super, super thin material, but it's not like extremely thick. I just feel like it has some weight to it, which is something I really like, but not, it's still very lightweight and breathable. That was going to be my comment. I put it on this morning and I thought, I like that. I feel like secure in this, but it's still breathable.
Yeah.
It's very comfy and I really like the color. I like the color of mom's too.
Yeah. They're great shirts. And we do have a code for you. If you use the code Quilting Life, you can, and you spend $50, you can get a free t-shirt. You just need to be sure and add that to your cart so that they can do that for free. Yeah.
I think it's really cute that you chose the Quilters University one though, because mom is, such a scholar.
Oh my goodness.
She is. Oh my goodness. Like,
well, I loved them both. For a while, I
like the color of this one.
Leaning towards that one because I love that color.
No, I think that suits you. You're in your college, your college era.
Okay.
All right. Well, now that the camera's on me, you might notice something different. I'm going to try something different today. I'm going to stand up and see if I can make it the whole episode. And the reason is because when I was setting everything up, usually this table or this desk is higher, and then I sit it down, and I was setting everything up, and I was thinking, maybe I'll just try to stand today, but it moves up and down, as you can see here.
Cool. It's so cool.
We actually did a video on this desk almost 2 years ago. I was just looking at it at the beginning, and because it was sent with us, we did a video with the product review. I can link that as well. And there was a link in there. If you're interested in it, you can watch the video for $30 off. And I just clicked it and it still works. So.
Oh, really?
It's been almost 2 years since you got the desk.
Yeah.
Does that mean that next June-ish, July is 4 years on the podcast?
No, it'll be 5. Yeah, we already hit 4 years.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
Losing track of time.
You guys.
I know.
That is kind of crazy.
It is.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I guess I do remember him. Like, I would bring the kids when they were like...
Little.
Yeah, Finn wasn't even in school. And he would... Whoa, weird.
Yeah.
Okay,
Very
sorry.
crazy.
I just had a moment. Wow.
So anyway, we'll see how this looks and if I can do it
halfway through.
Yeah, I don't know. I just figured I'd change it up. Sometimes if I'm not talking long enough, then I get tired sitting down. So, okay, but I am going to jump into our listener quilts section today. And our first one is yet another Magnolia quilt.
It's popular lately.
It has been coming through.
Yeah.
Like I've already mentioned before, but we had another one here. Want to make sure we share it. And this is from Farah. She said, "Hi, Sherri, Chelsi, and Billy. First of all, I love watching your podcasts. 20 years ago, I had made a quilt with my sister, but really got into it during COVID. I've loved every fabric line that you've had since I started purchasing fabric. I purchased a mini charm pack of each of your fabrics. I've gone and found as many of your older ones as I can too. I plan on making a stamp quilt with them. So, question, I'm just guessing, is that like a quilt with a bunch of little mini charms?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I actually have some old mini charms that I found the other day. I should put them in my Etsy shop.
I have so many.
Yeah.
I just have not.
You should put them in your shop too.
Like every fabric collection.
Yes.
It's crazy.
And then she also said, I have 3 quilt kits of Chelsi's that are waiting to be pieced. So,
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so she has
Awesome.
a lot of your stuff.
Thank you. What? And the Magnolia quilt is absolutely beautiful. I've seen a lot of it lately, of that one being made. It's super cute. Wonderful job.
Yeah, she said, anyway, I could go on for hours praising your patterns and fabric. The original reason for this email is that she wanted to share the quilt that she made for her niece. It's Chelsi's Magnolia pattern. I sized the blocks down to 12 inches so I could fit more flowers into the smaller quilt for a baby. And the fabric is by Layla Boutique.
Oh,
And then
I like it,
didn't show you this, Chelsi, but I'll have this up. I made a pillow and basket with the same fabric as the backing, and it has the Magnolia block.
Oh my goodness.
I'm sorry, I forgot to send you that.
What? I didn't see that.
Yeah.
I'll look at it right after this,
Yeah,
but I already saw
I'll
the
make
quilt,
sure to show her.
and it
Yeah.
was gorgeous.
I just saw that here. I forgot about that. So, yeah, great job.
Wow. Oh my goodness. Thank you.
Okay, so our next one here is, let me make sure. Yep, there it is. It's your fabric, but it's Susan Aki's from her sampler quilt. That you made that too, didn't you, Mom?
Yes, I did make that.
Okay.
It's super pretty.
Does it have the blocks in the sets of 4 with sashing in between? She's had a few sampler quilts.
Oh, really?
It might be the latest one. That one I'm not caught up on, but
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a ton of little blocks.
okay.
Here.
Yeah.
But it is in your Sincerely Yours fabric. So this is from May. She said, "Hello all. I enjoy listening to the podcast while I work from home and makes Mondays more bearable. I wanted to share this quilt I made with the Sincerely Yours line, which I loved so much as soon as I saw it. The blocks are from Susan Aki's sampler spree, quilted with the Baptist fan design on my domestic machine, and start to finish took about 1.5 years to make. It's an absolute stunner, and I had bought a half-yard bundle, so I have enough fabric for another scrappy quilt or 2. I look forward to adding Raspberry Summer to my stash." Again, that's from May.
Oh, thank you. And wow, that's quite the accomplishment to do a should she say Baptist fan?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
On her standard home machine.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That.
I can't even imagine.
Yes.
And yes, there is sashing in between all the
Yeah.
blocks
Yeah,
with
I
little
was gonna say
cornerstones.
They're set in 4s.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's the one I made.
I
Yeah.
recognized it.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
because
I feel
Chelsi was
like-
up and saw it. I actually didn't
Yeah.
show that to my mom.
Actually
but
hanging on the wall out in the
Yeah,
hallway.
yeah.
Yes.
Great job with those, and thank you for sending them in. And
Yes. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
I love it. I think it's great.
Yeah, I like this segment of the podcast.
All right, so today we're going to start, and my mom had mentioned in a video that came out Thursday where she just got back from recently, is from the Garden of Quilts up in Thanksgiving Point, Utah. So we're going to start with Mom telling us everything about that because it sounds like it was a really good event.
Yeah. It was fabulous, as always. I was actually able to be there the inaugural year in 2019. Camille Ross Kelly and Vanessa Gertzen were there with me that year. So, and then, they didn't have the event in 2020 because of COVID. 2021, I did not go, but I did go back in 2022. Absolutely loved it. Last year, I had another event that conflicted, so I didn't apply for last year, but I was really excited to get back there this year. So my third time there, it just gets better every time I go. It is an all-in-one. It's a retreat. It's a quilt show in the garden. It is a vendor mall experience. It is evening lectures and trunk shows. It is really just everything you would want. And it's just incredible that women go together. In my classes, I had mothers and daughter-in-laws, sisters, groups of sisters, grandmother, granddaughter. But then you also just have women that came by themselves from all the way across the country. And it's just fabulous. And they're having a great time too. And I thought it was so interesting. In one of my classes, these two women didn't know each other at all, were randomly sitting by each other. And then it ended up they had 3 or more classes together.
Wow.
So I taught on the first day, I taught a full day class with my Coastal Summer Medallion. And that was a fabulous class. I've actually not taught a full day class there before, and I really recommend it. If you're looking to going next year, the full day class is a great experience because you're in the same room for all day and they bring lunch to the room.
Ooh.
So I loved it. We didn't have to leave. We had cafe zupas. They brought us an order form. We got to pick a salad, a sandwich, and a soup, and it all got delivered. It was wonderful. So
wow.
Yeah, I really loved the full day class, and think for sure next year I'm going to offer a full day class again. So
I would imagine a full day class also helps you get to know like your peers better.
Yes.
And since you didn't have to leave, that's interesting
Right.
that you don't waste a little bit of that time.
Yes.
Cool.
It's a little bit shorter day because they do have a 2-hour lunch break in between the half day classes. So since you don't need a 2-hour break, it actually went from 9 to 4. And then we had our lunch break in between. So, and whereas the next day I taught 2 half-day classes, so one went from 9 to noon and then had a 2-hour break and then taught from 2 to 5.
So would you say your classes were full?
Yeah.
And it was very well attended?
Very well attended.
Okay. And what's your favorite part about this experience? Enjoy like teaching classes?
Yeah, I love... I always tell the women in the classes how much I love seeing the fabrics that they're going to use.
Yeah.
Because it's obviously my pattern, and some of them are sewing with our fabrics, and that's wonderful too. But it's really fun to see the Christmas, the Halloween, the types of fabrics that maybe I wouldn't normally use, batiks or really, really bright modern fabrics.
Yeah.
So there were red, white, and blue versions, I think, in each of my classes too. So that was fun.
I just say that I asked those questions just because I've had the pleasure of witnessing my mom teach classes. I've been a lot of places with you, and she is so confident. I think it would be fun I honestly feel like it would be fun for me to even take a class from you. Just to take it.
Oh, well,
it would be a different experience for me than just like observe. Normally I'm observing and just like sewing.
Right.
And I have watched you teach. It's nice.
Well, thank you.
You're very confident. Like people will ask questions and I always think like, oh, it might take me a second to like answer that question. And Mom's like, well, let me give you 3 answers. So
thank you.
You're very welcome.
It was really fun too because each of my classes had women in the classes who had taken classes from me before at Garden of Quilts.
Do you love that
So I love that. I'm like, oh, well, they came back.
Where you recognize them.
Yes.
Whoa.
Yeah. So that was really fun. And you always have students in there and you think, well, they probably don't need a class from me. They're very accomplished quilters. Nancy Lane was in my happy-go-lucky class. but it's just great to get ideas from everybody and share. And I feel like I was able to, show different options. I always do little demos on different rulers and other options. I think I did a demo with 3 different ways to make the flying geese for this quilt. So, and 2 different ways to make the half square triangles. So people can try it out in a class and see which method they like.
I did notice that one of the last ones I went with you, you're kind of like, gather around while I show you. And you kind of hear the oohs and ahs from some people, which is fun to watch.
Yeah.
But yeah, it must feel really good to see Nancy Lane continue to take your classes because
fun.
She's a great quilter. I'm sure all these women are accomplished quilters.
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of cool that they'll still take classes from you.
Right. And I love when I'm sharing how to use a ruler and somebody says, I've had that ruler in a drawer for 6 years and I didn't know how to use it. And then they can go home and start using it. So that's really fun too.
I also want to know, it's probably also the experience too, people who continue to take your class. That's why I'm saying that, because I'm sitting here like, well, I kind of want to just sit and take a class and be told what to do. That would be so nice. I don't have to.
Well, everybody was asking if you were there, when you were going to come. I'm like, her kids are so little and they have soccer and basketball right now, and they're like, we want Chelsi to come. So.
If you were one of those people, you just made my day.
Yes.
You just made my day. I would have loved to have been there. It's so hard once school starts because soccer starts and basketball and everything you said.
They really have been, it's really been nice. Every time I've been there, the weather has been beautiful. So
that's why I regret not going.
Utah in the fall is just gorgeous. The one day we had a lot of the smoke and haze from the fires in California. But
it was worse here.
Yeah. And it blew out overnight. And the next day was clear and beautiful.
It blew out overnight here, but we did have from the fires. It was crazy. But I baked here in 115 degree weather. Yeah. I would have much rather been with you up in Utah. So maybe in the future, guys.
Yeah. So just a few more things about it. You can be as busy or as non-busy as you want there. The classes start on Wednesday and go all the way through Saturday. In between, there are trunk shows and lectures. As I mentioned, the Doan girls are always there. Jenny and her daughter and daughter-in-law.
I love them.
They teach class. Their classes were really packed, but they also had 3 people there to, like, there's no way I could have handled probably as many women that they had, but they had 3 teachers too. And I didn't run into Jenny this time. Usually I do.
Yeah, you have before,
But because she was in my hotel, and in fact, my husband saw them pulling in, so we knew what their rental car was. He said, that's the Doan's car right there. But I have to say, I met somebody I have always wanted to meet, Minky Kim. I have wanted to meet her forever. She is incredible.
Obsessed.
Yes.
Does not even begin.
And she was so sad you weren't there too.
Oh my
She's
goodness.
Like, is Chelsi here?
That gives me butterflies because I love her so much and I get goosebumps. She's so talented.
She is.
Everyone knows this.
She was teaching next door to me the day that I did the all-day class, and I didn't find out. I went outside during the lunch break to use the restroom or something, and the door next to me was open, and it was Minky, and I was like, oh, she's been right next door to me the whole time. But we had a lot of fun chatting, and she actually came. The other class that I taught besides Happy Go Lucky 2 and Coastal Summer Medallion was I taught my Vintage 2 class, and Minky actually came and sat in on that for a while, and she raised her hand and asked the best questions. I was so grateful for her questions because, you think, and especially afterwards, I found out there was a woman in the class making her very first quilt block, and I thought, wow, ever, and it turned out perfectly. And Vintage 2, I mean, there's a lot of little pieces that have to come together for that one. And she was, after she had it made and I was telling her how beautiful it was, she was like, this is my first quilt block I've ever made. But I was so grateful.
That wasn't my experience.
Yeah. But no, I was so grateful for Minky's questions. They were really, really good.
You want people to contribute to what your lecture or whatever you're doing.
Yeah,
and if you have someone, if you're in somewhere where you're giving a lecture and maybe everyone's brand new and they don't even know what questions to ask. It's good to have people that know what questions would be beneficial for everyone. Yeah.
And Minky is just a genuinely good, like, kind
So
individual.
kind and sweet. Yeah. And she did. We went to lunch together. So
I'm so jealous now.
Yeah, the day that I had my 2 classes with the 2-hour break, they actually feed all of the instructors right there on the
You posted a picture of this
campus. Yes, and so it's lovely. They have a different type of food catered each day, and so I actually did get to eat with several of the Riley Blake designers, and the owner of the company, Cindy Cloward, was there. And
I had a little bit of fear of missing out when I see pictures like that, because I'm so used to being with my mom when she goes to these places that I'm like, oh, I'm not there. But that was really cool to see. There were so many people in that picture.
So many people. And I have to just shout out to Bev of Flamingo Toes.
Oh, yeah.
She's always so good to me. She's always heavily involved in this Garden of Quilts, but she always has time to, give directions if you need help, or, make sure that you have somebody to sit by at lunch or whatever. So
yeah. Oh, I love that.
So it's a fantastic event. It's very, very well organized. And again, you can do as little or as much as you want. And on one of the shuttle rides, I was with a woman who had come from the Florida Keys all by herself. She drove from the Keys to Miami, left her dog with her daughter, and got on a plane, came out all by herself.
Wow.
And she was having a wonderful time. And there were lots of women like that who came by themselves, but then it seemed like they found people to eat with. They found people to hang out with in their classes, and just
a good environment.
Really great environment.
Yeah. What did Dad do the whole time?
I think he watched a lot of movies. He actually was on a hunt for me for this chocolate that I was looking for. He one day went to several Harmon's and Whole Foods because
what a wonderful husband.
But we didn't find it.
You didn't find it.
It's Choc XO, so CHOCXO, and it's a healthy, low sugar, dark chocolate, and there are different fillings.
Yeah.
I was looking for the lemon cream filling, and we couldn't find it. It was, and the company will ship, but they won't ship until October 1st.
Yeah, it was smart, especially when you live in Nevada.
Yeah. But he did find me the peanut butter cup version, which is pretty good. But yeah, he spent a lot of time in the car. And then also we have a son who lives there, so went to dinner with him a couple nights and got to do some family time. So it was an awesome experience. I plan on applying to teach there next year. And
awesome.
And then the Garden of Quilts, the name, is there like an outdoor area where they're all displayed and everything? Okay.
Yeah, I should talk a real quick second about that. So on Friday and Saturday, there is a quilt show in the Ashton Gardens portion of the Thanksgiving Point area. It's this huge venue, and the Ashton Gardens are, Mrs. Ashton is always there. She's a beautiful older woman
who should bring my Ashton.
Developed the gardens.
We should meet.
Yeah, and initially when this event started, Cindy Cloward went to Mrs. Ashton and said, "I want to have a quilt show in your gardens." And Mrs. Ashton said, I don't do anything small. This has to be a big thing. And so it is a big thing. They hang the quilts Thursday night, and then they don't let you in to see them, but you just walk through and I've been there. It's the same gardens if you've seen when I went to the Tulip Festival. It's the same venue. So, but instead of tulips, there are summer flowers and then all of these quilts hanging everywhere. It's just incredible.
What a wonderful art.
Yes.
Then why is it her garden? Is she the head person,
she
or is
owned
it
the property?
It's her property.
Mrs. Ashton, and built the gardens. And I was actually talking to one of the assistants in my class. Thanksgiving Point is the venue, so the helpers work for Thanksgiving Point. They don't.
Oh, okay.
But
that makes sense.
Yeah, so I told her how I'd been there for the Tulip Festival, and she said, "Well, you have to come for the Luminaria, which goes from November to January, where you walk through the gardens at night with all the Christmas lights." And so I'm going to have to go back for that.
I love that, Mrs. Ashton.
Yes.
It's
she's very nice. She came you see her out and about, and
Yeah.
there's also a golf course right there, but I don't know.
Billy?
I think you might have to be a member to golf there. So it seemed like it was kind of exclusive, the golf course. But yeah, just a fantastic venue. Lots of hotels. Some ladies that were in my class, they had Airbnbs just close by where they were staying.
Oh, nice.
But there are also lots of hotels.
Yeah, I would imagine there's tons of places to stay around there with how many events they do.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, good deal. So you'll be returning next year?
I will be submitting classes. I'm definitely going to submit an all-day class because it was just so relaxing to teach an all-day class. I'll probably do kind of the same as I did this year, an all day and then 2 half days. That way you get to meet more people. So
Did you attend any classes?
I didn't. Well, I snuck into Minky's a couple times when she was after lunch. Once I realized she was there, I went in a couple times, and I actually Minky and I did a little swap, and I got some patterns.
You guys are like besties now.
And some labels, and she got some of my fabric and patterns, and she actually said for me to share some of these labels with you.
That's what I was thinking of mentioning, which if you watch the video we did that came out last Thursday, my mom actually shows them up close.
Yeah, so I'll show them to you.
But you got those, and then you found a good rotating cutting mat that we shared in the video.
Yeah.
Was that from one of your
That was just one of the students had it, and I just kept walking by and seeing how easily she was turning her cutting mat.
Today is turning into a really good day. Get something cute from Minky, and Billy brought me enchiladas.
We're all happy about the enchiladas.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, to wrap this episode up then, I'm actually going to touch on a topic that we had to cut out of a previous episode. It's the episode where we mentioned quilting and movies and film and TV and then literature. And the last part of that was going to be quilting in history. And I know that's too big of a topic to even tackle in one podcast. But essentially what I wanted to mention that while I was researching some of those things that we already did talk about, I came across some really interesting documentaries that you can go and view, and also learned about Ken Burns' quilt collection. And it was just interesting because I'm sort of a fan of his, I guess, of his documentaries. I've watched quite I wouldn't say all of them because there's a lot of them, but every time I hear of a new one, I try to watch a lot of the older ones. But I found out that he's a quilt collector. And what happened was that, so the International Quilt Museum in Lincoln, Nebraska found out about this and got him to, for the first time, now this was a few years ago, but got him for the first time to share his quilt collection. And they had a display out there. It's not there anymore. But what's good is there is some things that you can watch that shows his quilt collection and has him talking about it. So there's like a 10-minute video that I can link in here that it's on YouTube now, but it's through public television in Nebraska.
And I've seen that. It's really good. You mentioned a couple others in our outline that I haven't seen, but I have seen the Ken Burns video.
Yeah. So that's in there. And then these are both through pbs.org. I believe I'm going to link them. I have a PBS account, but I don't even think I was logged in when I found them. And there's a lot of free content on there. But one of them, there's a series called Craft in America, and they have a lot of different episodes about different types of crafts and the histories of them and everything. But one of them is on quilts. So that one was interesting. That covers a lot of different places throughout the country, a lot of different cultures and the histories behind their quilt making. And then the other one that I haven't even actually finished it, but I was getting through it there is called the Great American Quilt Revival. And that's really a deep dive. It's about almost an hour long history of quilting. So I was just going to mention those, that if you are interested in the history of quilting, there's some resources there to look at, because I am.
Did you watch the Great American Quilt Revival?
I found that actually after the last episode 118 was when we were going to do it. I didn't see it that day. I saw it actually just as I was preparing for this one. So I didn't finish it all. Have you watched it?
No, I haven't watched that one, but I think that's when my grandmother started quilting, was in around 1976, around the bicentennial is when I believe is referred to as the Great American Quilt Revival.
Oh, okay.
And actually she started quilting. My aunt signed her and my grandmother up for a class. And that is what, my grandmother had been around quilting as a little girl, but then she didn't do it for most of her adult life until the 1970s when quilting started making a comeback.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming that's what this might be about.
Okay.
So
yeah, I was sort of, I wanted to share it with you guys and finish watching it all the way through. But yeah, the quilting, and Ken Burns talks about this in his part, but history is told through quilts, right? I mean, they can be used as a vessel for different people in different places to express the history of their own lives or their people or their families. And we have examples of that throughout the history of quilting. So the quilts in of themselves can give a history, and then there's the history of quilting in general. So both of those things, I mean, you could really spend a lot of time, a lot of research and digging into that. So one place, if any of our listeners, I'm sure there's quite a few of you that have been to the International Quilt Museum in Lincoln. I mean, that after watching some of these things, I'd be interested in going and checking that out sometime. I'm sure you are too.
Yeah, that's definitely on my bucket list. And the really neat thing is it's less than an hour away from where my dad is buried. So I'd really like to do kind of a trip. So I've been in Lincoln, Nebraska before, but not to the Quilt Museum. And I'd really like to do like a little family trip. Yeah, you've been there too. So
did we go through there?
We flew into there when we went to that family reunion in Iowa.
We stopped at the graveyard.
I think we flew into Omaha.
Yes. Yes, we did fly into Omaha, but we went through Lincoln.
Okay.
We did a little bit of family kind of sightseeing, and then we drove all the way across. Our family reunion was in Cedar Rapids. So we drove all the way across the state of Iowa. So I don't know how much you guys.
I'm having
we
like
even
a
went
weird
into Illinois.
moment.
We did kind of a lot of on that trip. So
I'm remembering a lot of things.
You were
now.
little. You were probably only 5.
Yeah,
I remember someone's house we stayed at.
Yep.
And they had a dog I was obsessed with.
Yes.
Sorry. This is how my brain works.
Yes. No, that was my mom's Aunt Joanne and Uncle Ray's house.
Yeah.
Yes. And you loved their dog.
Because it could do tricks, I think.
Yeah. I was obsessed.
Yeah. So I'd really like to go back and.
Yeah. Last time I went through Lincoln, because I drove home from Chicago all by myself one time, and I obviously had to make some stops, but one of my stops was in Lincoln, Nebraska, and I got some motel, and there was a tornado warning at that time.
Why were you driving? When was this?
I was doing a job. Well, it's a long story, but yeah, I was just coming home.
Yeah.
This was like 12 years ago or something.
What?
Yeah.
And so anyway, I just remember stopping in Lincoln. I'm like, oh, this is cool. This is where University of Nebraska is.
Right.
And but it was like the skies were green, and I was a little worried.
It's scary.
I made it.
When those tornadoes. Yeah. I was in a tornado warning on a bus one time remember the Minneapolis quilt market where you and Dad flew home alone?
Yeah.
And I went to...
And our flight was delayed.
Yeah. But I got on a bus and went to Iowa for an American
and Dad
Patchwork
was very
and Quilting.
Worried.
Yeah. And the skies were green.
But when we were in Kansas City for Quilt Market, there was also a tornado warning.
Yeah.
And people were worried, but I remember, who was it? Someone from Market was like, oh, you don't need to worry. It's fine. Yeah,
I know.
This
the
is
people
normal.
who live there were very,
So next time it's 115, just be grateful that there's mountains around at least, that you don't have to worry about tornadoes or hurricanes here. But anyway, so it's not really, I don't really have a lot of in depth other than I just wanted to share some of those resources, or maybe some of you have watched these documentaries. Maybe some of you have even seen Ken Burns' display of quilts when it was there in Nebraska. It seems like it would be cool if they would bring that back again sometime.
Yeah.
And just sort of get all of his input on. And because the funny thing is about him too is that he talks about it in the video, but he's like, I didn't really tell anybody and I didn't share it with anyone. I sort of like did it, behind closed doors. He was a quilt collector. And I mean, he got them at a lot of just thrift shops or just, stop on the side of the road type things. It's not like he paid enormous amounts of money for some of these quilts, but he would get them. He'd do the research behind them, try to find out, what time period they came from and find things out about them. And I mean, a guy like that, who's obviously very, very into history and telling the story of America, he's a good person to do that,
Right. Yeah. And I got a lot of feedback on that episode too, with people who maybe hadn't heard of some of the authors we suggested and now have some books to read, and just people are always interested in this. It's a great topic.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I think that wraps it up. We don't have any other things. Our next episode is going to be Monday, September 30th, just a week from today. And it is a listener question episode. And we're actually going to be taping that right after this one. So, but still, always send in those questions. As Billy has mentioned, he keeps a bank of them for future use. And sometimes they even end up being podcast topics.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Okay. And thanks so much for stopping by.